my dudes, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kai, and I read a lot of books. I say a lot, but there's some people who read more than me, but to me, I feel like I read a lot of books. So, on today's episode, I'm gonna go through how many books did I read? The 10 books that I read in January, which I feel like sets 2026 up for a pretty good start, in my honest opinion. Okay? My goal this year is 100 books. Last year I put it at 100 books, and then my reading really fell off. I feel like maybe in the summertime, so I downgraded it to 80, and I just barely made it. Let's see. When did my reading really fall off? Fable will be able to tell me when my reading really fell off. One of my favorite Alani flavors. Yeah. The cotton candy and the strawberry sunset, whatever it's called. That one. Those two. Bomb. I had a killer reading month in April, and then, it really kind of fell off in May. I only read 4 books. In comparison to April, that was 11 books. So, I definitely had some shorter reading months, for sure. October was a pretty busy month for me, so that explains a lot. But December, I was fighting for my life to get as many books in as I could, so I could meet my reading goal of 80 books. So, yeah. But my friend Nicole really wants me to try to read 200 books with her, and I love her very dearly, but I also kind of worry about my sanity doing that. Because it was already hard enough for me to hit 80 last year. So I'm just gonna binge read, see what happens. Hope that I hit 100. If I read more than 100, sweet. I think it was 2024. I read 127 books, which is crazy. That's the most books I've ever read in a year. Let's see. I'm pretty sure. I could be lying. I could be gaslighting. Oh, I'm sorry. 2024 was 125 books. It was crazy. But, I went ham. And that's so wild because that was the year after my daughter was born. So, how did I do that? How did I do that with a not even 1-year-old? Even my short months, I read at least 6 books. That's crazy. That's crazy. But anyway, back to it. Let's dive into the 10 books that I read in January. Yay! If you see me looking down, it's because my laptop is down here, because some of these books I can't remember the ratings, and I did DNF some books. So I'm going to include those as well. Obviously they don't count towards my reading goal, but I just wanted to include them as well. So first book I read in January in 2026 was Dark Places by Gillian Flynn, I think is how you say her name. And it gives me the heebie-jeebies thinking about it. I did not want that in my house. I don't even have it anymore. I unhauled it because it was just, it gave me the heebie-jeebies. Let's see what I wrote for my review. It is a thriller, but it is a very dark thriller in my opinion. Was not vibing, was not a fan. Why does it say I read 11 books? No, babe. I did not read 11 books, but carry on. It's trying to consider one of my DNFs on here. So, heebie-jeebies. I wrote in my review, I definitely didn't like this book as much as Gone Girl or Sharp Objects, and it quite literally made me want to throw up in my mouth multiple times. But this author stays writing some messed up things. And I stand by that because it was just messed up. It was just so messed up. I couldn't even tell you what it was about because I scrubbed it far from my memory. Basically, her whole family was murdered, and it was blamed on her brother. So yeah, I gave it 2 stars. I was not a fan at all. It just was not for me. Gave me the heebie-jeebies. Was not my cup of tea, because and that's really depressing to me, because I really liked Gone Girl when I read it. That was like one of the first thrillers that I really got into, I think in like 2021, and then I read Sharp Objects by her in like 2022, and that book was so good. That book was so good. I stayed up till 2 a.m. to finish that book. I vividly remember because I made a TikTok about it. I really liked that book. I thought it was great. But Dark Places? No. Okay, back to it. I got distracted. So yeah, was really not happy with how my reading year started out, because not only was it not for me, it was not my cup of tea, but it also just like gave me the heebie-jeebies. I don't know how many times I'm gonna say heebie-jeebies in this video, but here for you guys. But don't worry, because then next I read The Only One Left by Riley Sager, and this book, 5 stars. 5 freaking stars. It was so good. Thriller, left me guessing, kept me on my toes. Like, I binged the heck out of this book. It was probably, out of the Riley Sager books that I've read, it's probably one of my favorites. So if you're new into the thriller genre, or you want to check out Riley Sager and get into his work, definitely recommend this one. 5 stars. 5 stars. I also really liked by him Survive the Night, and The House Across the Lake. That one was the first one that I read by him, and I binged that one as well, and I really liked that one. I think both of those for me were 5 stars. I know The House Across the Lake has a lot of controversy, but I liked it. I went into it not knowing what the genres were, and I think that if I would, it would have made more sense. Like, maybe the twist wouldn't have twisted me so hard, but either way, I was like, did not expect. It kept me on my toes with the twists. And then I wanted something just cutesy, like short, just to vibe with. So I picked up Clementine's Parlor of the Extraordinary and the Curious, and this is a cute little cozy fantasy romance novella. I picked it up when I went to Cozy and Bookish in November, and the author was so sweet. She was so sweet. And this is just like cutesy little, again, quick read. It's got big words, not that many pages. Like, if you're just looking for something that's a cute little palette cleanser, this. And it's part of a group of novellas, so I think there's 4 novellas, and she basically co-writes them. I wouldn't say co-writes them. I don't think they co-write them, but basically, well, I guess they co-write the series. They don't co-write the books. So basically, Monroe A. Wildrose co-writes the series with Emma, why does your last name have to be so crazy? Hold on. She's gonna be so mad at me for this. I hope she doesn't watch this. I hope she doesn't see this. I don't want her to see this. Hold on. Okay, so basically, Monroe A. Wildrose and Emma Steinbrecher. If I said that wrong, Emma, come for my throat. Like, what do you want from me? I can't talk. The two of them co-write a series together, and they're like a series of little novellas. So like this one is by Monroe, and then Emma writes the next one, and then they alternate. So it's 2 and 2. I already downloaded the next one on my Kindle in case I am in desperate need of a quick, cutesy, cozy fantasy. So I gave this one, what did I give it? I gave this one 4 stars. I had a good time. It was just what I needed. Yes. And then I picked up Bird Box, and I was really quite nervous about this one because this is the first book of Josh Malerman's that I've ever read, and I've not seen the movie, so I really didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I think it's like considered, what year did it come out? It came out in 2014. I was gonna say it's considered a classic, but I'm pretty sure it's his debut. I could be lying to y'all. It might not be his debut. But either way, I was not sure what I was getting myself into, and this book kept me on the edge of my seat. I read it before I went to bed at night. I think once or twice, and I literally had nightmares because it spooked me so bad. So I think that in and of itself tells you how good a book is when it literally haunts you when you're not even awake. So I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was really good. Definitely a short, quick, like, spooky read. I was thoroughly impressed. Have not watched the movie, but I watched the trailer and it looked really different. So I'm like, do I want to watch the movie? I don't know. Stay tuned. That's to be determined. And then I was like, you know what? I just read the first book. Why not read Malorie, which is the sequel? I did not like the sequel as much. I gave the sequel 3 stars, which is crazy because I gave Bird Box 5 stars. That book was great. But I just feel like the sequel was not, it didn't live up as good. It wasn't as good, and it felt like just very, I guess, rushed in a way. Like the ending did, and the resolution to everything that happened. So I just feel like it wasn't as good. Like, was it really absolutely positively necessary? No. You could have just ended Bird Box, like, kind of open-ended, like a lot of authors do with horror or thriller books. Like, I really don't feel like a second book was needed, but I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. The next book, if you watched my other video, which is episode 1 of reading through my physical TBR, you'll know that I read Winter Garden by Kristin. It is a historical fiction about World War II in Russia, and it literally had me sobbing, crying on the floor. Crazy. Kristin, I don't think she's ever not made me cry with a book. I'm not going to go too in-depth about this book, except to tell you that it is a slow start, but the ending definitely makes up for it, and I gave it 4 stars. So, y'all need to check Kristin out. Y'all are sleeping on her. And then I listened to The Butcher, and this book was crazy. I said it in my reading vlog, if you have read Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter, it kind of gave me that vibe on the fact of it, the gory details, that it was on that level almost, except Pretty Girls was like way worse because it was all throughout the book. I feel like this was only just certain parts of the book, but I listened to it. It's considered thriller. I categorize it as horror a little bit because I feel like definitely is a little scary, creepy, yes. So I gave it 3.5 stars. I felt okay about it. Definitely didn't see some of the twists coming, and also it just made me hate men because all the men in this book sucked, except for one man. All the men in this book sucked. So, in case you guys are wondering, I talked about this book in my reading vlog as well, so make sure you check out that reading vlog, because I can't talk about this book anymore because I am going to just refresh y'all's memory as to why you hate me, and it's People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry that I gave 3 stars. That's it. That's all I have to say about that. It was a rom-com. Didn't hit for me, but I didn't hate it, so 3 stars. I'm so sorry. That's all I have to say about that. And then the hits just kept coming after I read 2 like 3-star books back to back, because I tried to read the Missing Half by Ashley Flowers on my Kindle, and I think I got like 10% in, and I was like, I don't really like this. Like, I just don't have the want to pick it back up. I don't have the need. Like, I just don't have it in me to pick it back up. It's a thriller book about 2 girls who meet, whose sisters both like disappeared and were murdered in the same way. So I just, like, it sounded like it was right in my alley and like I would have enjoyed it, but the first 10% I read apparently did not hook me enough to want to hop back into it. And I have so many other books that are great to read, so I just hopped into something else, because why not? I'm a strong DNFer. I used to not be a DNFer at all, and I grew up. I'm just kidding. I should say it's not so much that I grew up, it's that I grew a backbone, because I used to be really scared to DNF books, but why? Life is too short to read books you don't enjoy. Like, I have so many other great books that are out there that I haven't read yet. Why would I struggle through reading a book I don't like and not be spending that time on a better book? Like, no sense. It made no sense. So I've started very strongly DNFing books. And the, like, places that I DNF a book, like, how much I've read really vary. If I'm really not vibing with it in, like, the first 10%, goodbye. Sometimes I'll give it until the halfway mark. I've literally DNF'd a book at 80% before, so it really just depends. It depends on my mood, how I'm feeling, how anxious I am about my reading goal, because that really dictates how I'm reading and what I'm reading. But anyway, I digress. But then I picked up 11/22/63 with my best friend Savannah, and let me tell you, this book, crazy. But also, let me tell you, that ending pissed me off. I have an entire reading vlog about this that is spoiler free. Oh, that ending pissed me off. But it's basically history meets magical realism. This guy tries to go back in time and stop the assassination. This guy tries to go back in time and stop the assassination of JFK, and that's not the only plot point in this book, which is what I thought it was, because it's literally called 11/22/63, and it's literally about him going back in time to stop JFK. But no, it is also about his life living in the 50s and 60s, because when he goes through this, like, rabbit hole to go back in time, he is coming out at 1958, which is obviously not 1963, so he has to live out the time until it is 1963, because every time that he goes through the rabbit hole back to the future, it resets everything. It's basically a redo, a reset every single time. And no matter how long he's been gone in the rabbit hole, whenever he gets back into the future, it's only been 2 minutes. So, insanely cool concept. I really enjoyed the writing. I've said this like probably 600 times already, but Stephen King usually writes in third person from what I have seen, and he wrote from first person in this one, and I feel like it was insanely necessary and so good. It just made it that much better. Like, yes. So check it out if you like mind trippy books, if you like history, learning about history, if you like real world with some real, like, magical realism, fantasy, whatever kind of aspects in it. If that is your thing, magical realism and history, read this. Read it. Yes. I don't know if I said, but I gave that book 4 stars. Yay. I would have given it 4.5 stars, but that ending really pissed me off, so it lost a half a star, because what the heck. And then I tried to read Blood Moon by Brittany S. Lewis, because it was the book club pick for this month. And I got about, honestly, I forget how far in the book I got. I feel like it was maybe like 20% of the way in. And then I just was not a big fan of the writing. It felt very Twilight to me. Like, the main character's first name was Mirabella. Her dad was a cop. It was the werewolf vampire thing. Like, I just was not that interested in it. And it really took me out of the story when there was 2 instances where the main characters used, like, modern slang. Like, one of them said, "Be so for real," and I was like, it just really took me out, because it's supposed to be, or at least it's marketed as, like, Vampire Diary vibes, which is, like, early 2000s, and obviously, unless I just have not been paying attention, they did say "Be so for real" in the early 2000s, so it really took me out. So I was really sad to DNF it, but also didn't feel that bad, because another one of my friends who's in the book club DNF'd it, so I was like, okay, it's not just me. And her and I usually are very opposites of our books and our taste in our reviews, so the fact that we both DNF'd it should really tell you something. And that's not to say it's a bad book. Like, if you like a book that has Twilight vibes in it and you like werewolves and vampires, like, go for it. Go for it. I'm not gonna hold you back. It just wasn't for me. Just wasn't a fan. Was not a fan. And then last night, on January 31st, I decided that I wanted to read one more book for the month of January. So I picked up The Yellow Wallpaper by, what's her name? Charlotte Perkins Gilman. I picked up the Yellow Wallpaper because I read The Mad Wife in, I think it was December. I got it from the library and I gave it five stars. I ripped through that book. I thought it was so good. It was so good. And I read the author's note, and she said that she was inspired by several works, and The Yellow Wallpaper is one of them. And it's basically a horror short story that I think was written in the late 1800s, like right on the cusp of about to be 1900s. And it's about this woman who has a vacation, like a stay. She goes away from home and has a vacation away from home with her husband because I think their house is being renovated, and it's shortly after she has a baby. And she's upstairs in a room that, actually thinking about it, kind of reminds me of this as far as like what I was picturing in my mind. She's basically put in a nursery that was used by the kids, and it has this ugly yellow wallpaper that was on it, and it's basically about her losing her mind, and it's 27 pages. Okay, so I feel like if it would have been longer and it would have been expanded on, maybe I would have understood it better, because I literally had to Google and look up on Reddit like what the meaning behind the ending was. And a lot of people go back and forth on if there was a supernatural element or not, and I like to think that there was, because that makes it sound a whole lot more, like, makes more sense to me. So I gave it 3 stars. I just don't know if classical horror is for me, because I read The Haunting of Hill House and I hated that book. I think I gave that book 1 star. It just was not for me. Like, I'm sure that back in the day when it was written, it probably frightened the heck out of some people, but for me, it was just not my cup of tea. It was not my thing. I didn't like it. No, I didn't like it. So I'm not sure if The Yellow Wallpaper was kind of the same way, where it went over my head. I don't know. Read it yourself, and I mean, see what you think in your own interpretation, because yeah, a lot of people think that this woman ended up going absolutely insane, and she basically thought that she was, what was the theory that I read? It was basically like there was a supernatural element, and there was like a spirit or a demon or something like that in the wallpaper, and she ended up ripping it off the wall. So after she went crazy, instead of going back into the wall and being a ghost that was stuck in there, since she had torn down the wallpaper, she basically stayed out. So I don't know if anything that I just said made sense. It made a lot more sense when I read about it on Reddit. So again, if you're not new here and you've been watching, you know the drill, but if you're new here, I'm really bad at explaining things in books. So yeah, but those are the 10 books that I read in January. I feel like it was a pretty decent month. I had some bangers, I had some duds, but you know what? Such is life. So if you've read any of these books, make sure you comment down below and let me know your thoughts. Make sure you like this video, you share it with your bestie, you subscribe to the channel so you see when other chaos that I make is posted. Yeah. That's all I have to say about that. I will be posting my February TBR soon, and then I'm also, if it's not already posted by the time this comes out, posting my 11/22/63 reading vlog soon. So make sure you check them out, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!